in Abuja, along with the trending story so far, that the United States Embassy has cancelled all visa appointments scheduled for Wednesday, the 4th of March, citing a high risk of protests amid escalating tensions between the United States and Iran. Now, in a statement, the embassy warned American citizens to remain indoors, avoid large gatherings, and monitor local media for updates. The warning follows the report of the death of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in the U.S.-Israel airstrikes, with Tehran retaliating by targeting U.S. bases in Gulf countries. Now, earlier protests in Yobe State by the Shi'ite group show a solidarity with Iran, raising concerns for similar demonstrations in Abuja. The embassy stressed vigilance and urged citizens to follow safety protocols. Joining us now to give us this report, we are joined by Collins Nweke, a geopolitical affairs analyst in Brussels, Belgium, as well as Mansur Kurugu, a security and conflict analyst who is in Kano State. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I believe that Collins may join us. Collins is with us. Our second guest may dial in later. Collins, again, thank you so much. Now, in terms of significance, how significant is the threat of protest in Abuja following the recent escalation between the United States as well as Iran?
Thank you, Inam. The threat should not be exaggerated. That much is obvious, but it should certainly not be ignored either. Historically, international conflicts involving the United States and the Middle East have occasionally triggered symbolic protests in parts of the Muslim world, including Nigeria. So Abuja, being the diplomatic and political capital, naturally becomes a focal point for such expressions. However, Nigeria's domestic priorities, including economic hardship, governance issues, and security concerns, typically dominate, public attention more than distant geopolitical conflicts. So, if protests occur, and that's a big if, although it's looking more and more certain, they are more likely to be, symbolic demonstrations rather than, sustained mass mobilization. Now, that said, Inam, authorities must remain vigilant. In today's digital age, narratives spread rapidly through social media, and local actors can sometimes, appropriate global issues to mobilize support for domestic political agendas. So, the prudent approach is therefore preparedness without alarmism. By that, I mean monitor the situation, maintain open channels with community leaders, and ensure peaceful assembly rights are respected while safeguarding diplomatic missions.
Right. Now, Collins, there's no telling how this might play out, but I want to look at the significance right now, especially because Nigeria is building a relationship with the United States. Now, what factors might make Nigerian cities particularly vulnerable to demonstrators or unrest in response to international conflicts, and what should the government do in this instance?
Right, very critical question there, Inam. Several factors can make Nigerian cities vulnerable. First is religious and ideological solidarity. Conflicts in the Middle East often resonate emotionally with communities that identify with one side, of the dispute. Now, second is economic frustration at home. When domestic grievances already exist as they do in Nigeria, unemployment, inflation, political dissatisfaction, international events can sometimes become, a trigger or call it a rallying point for, broader discontent. Third is the power of the social media, how social media could be used to easily, mobilize. Messages, sometimes inaccurate or at best inflammatory, can spread, quickly and encourage demonstrations before authorities have time to respond. Now, to the core question about what government should do, government's response should focus on three pillars: communication, intelligence, and engagement. Communicate clearly that Nigeria supports peace and diplomacy. strengthen intelligence monitoring of potential flag points like embassy premises and all of that, and engage religious leaders and civic leaders as well early enough to prevent tensions from escalating into unrest.
Right. I'm told now that we are also joined by Mansur Kurugu. Mansur, thank you so much for joining us. Now, in terms of escalations, could escalating U.S.-Iran hostility have broader security implications for West Africa, including Nigeria? If so, what would these implications entail?
So good afternoon, Nigeria, and thank you for having me. So the growing escalation of the war between Israel, Iran, and Israel, it's definitely going to have an impact in Nigeria, in West Africa, because if you look at the situation now, Iran is not only responding to Israel or United States of America in their countries. Iran is also looking at all the alliances where United States of America is having their base, and they're destroying all of those bases at the moment. And of course, that is already now having implication in the economy and all of that, including the price of the petroleum and other things across the globe. So at the moment, the way Nigeria and other African countries have responded to this conflict in terms of sharing their own positions and a point of view could impact a future relationship with either America or Tehran and Iran and their allies. So, of course, it's really going to be a moment that we are going to see for a few weeks to come, where some superpowers across the globe are being involved in a war. And there could be some spillover to certain African countries, especially Nigeria, where we are already being faced by different kind and level of insecurity in our country. You can see a free flow of weapons and mercenaries to different parts of the country. So, of course, there is going to be an implication.
Now, in terms of the various groups that we have in Nigeria, how might the local, especially the local militant groups or political movements in Nigeria react to global conflicts such as this one in particular, especially because this one looks like more of a religious-based kind of situation?
Yeah, so I think at the moment there is, so if this situation is happening 10, 15 years ago, we would have started to see some kind of uprising or rest among the religious group in Nigeria. But nowadays, people have already understand and realized how this whole war works. So it no longer, initiate an internal conflict within African countries, especially Nigeria, irrespective of who is fighting who. But before, what we used to say is once America is fighting any country, which is they are Muslim countries or Arab countries, people in Nigeria, especially in northern Nigeria, will feel like, oh, something is happening and it's against our religion. And then you can start seeing some unrest among different religious groups. But over the last 5, 7, 8 years, that is no longer the situation. People in Nigeria, especially in northern Nigeria, have reached a level where they understand all of this war it has more political reason than religious reason. So nobody is thinking of, okay, so this is just a fight between a person from my own religion or another religion. There is no, so it's not going to have any implication in terms of the groups that we have in Nigeria, especially the Muslim and Christian. But the violent groups, these criminals, the terrorists and all of them, they kept on doing their own work irrespective of who is fighting who, or even if every other part of the world is at peace, these terrorists would always look for an opportunity that they can attack people, they can kill innocent souls.
Sorry, Mansur. Sorry, just for clarity's sake, when you say these terrorists, whom are you referring to?
So we are talking about the bandits, the Laukrawas, the Boko Harams, the ISWAP, all of them. They are completely terrorists. They are people that all they want to do, all they plan to do is to create terror, to kill people, to do massacre and all of that. So these people are already terrorists and they don't represent any religious body. They are only terrorists and they should be treated as terrorists.
Right.
So if for any reason they have decided to leverage on what is going on between United States of America, Israel and Tehran and said they are going to carry any action on that, I mean, they are not representing anybody. They are just doing their own terror activities, which nobody in Nigeria, neither Muslim nor Christian, accept or agree with that kind of ideology they are working on.
All right. Collins, I'll come back to you now. I know that in Senate today, a statement did go out. I don't want to misquote anybody, but a statement was released this morning that said there isn't necessarily so much that the United States government can do in terms of aiding citizens that are in the Middle East, American citizens. But I want to ask you now, if this situation escalates, especially in Iran, could the U.S. take further steps to protect citizens abroad? And what could those steps be?
Well, let me say this. Embassy guidance serves two critical purposes. First, it protects citizens abroad, advising them on potential risk and how to avoid dangerous situations. The communication coming out from the Embassy of the United States in Nigeria was that much clear. Secondly, it ensures that diplomatic operations continue in a controlled and secure manner. Diplomatic missions operate under strict security protocols, and I'm sure Mansur will, be able to tell us more about being a security expert. When tensions rise, embassies may limit movement, adjust public services, or issue travel advisories. That's what they do. These are standard risk management practices rather than extraordinary, measures. But ultimately, Inam, the goal is balance. Maintaining diplomatic engagement while ensuring that staff, visitors, and local communities remain safe. And I believe that that much could be read out of, the precautionary statement that the U.S. Embassy put out.
Mansur, if you can, just maybe help me with an answer on your end as well, just in 1 minute.
So, first of all, this is a situation where United States of America, you know how much they respect and value their citizens. I believe the government under the leadership of Donald Trump is going to make an amendment in terms of their position. If the situation continues and persists, especially now that we are seeing Iran targeting facilities where there are Americans, especially the military or some key officials across the Middle East, I believe the United States of America are going to change their positioning and they are going to consider evacuation. And I believe I have already started seeing some messaging around people should be more on alert about the whole situation within their environment. So we are not expecting Iran to go after each and every American in the Middle East. But I believe Americans that work within the diplomatic space should be really more careful. And I believe United States of America would ensure they try to repatriate or evacuate most of those people, at least to make sure they are safe, especially if, according to what Donald Trump is saying, they are ready and they are willing to go for a very longer time of war between them and Israel and Iran. And of course, Iran, as they are saying, they are ready and they are willing to continue this war for a very long time. So this is just the beginning of one massive situation that we are observing in the Gulf countries and among America and Iran. So right. I believe America, United States of America, at a point of time should begin to consider and redraft their protocol in terms of evacuating most of their diplomatic personnel within the Middle East, especially if this whole situation persists.
Thank you so much, Mansur Kurugu and Collins Nweke. Thank you for your insight and your time.